What's happening, everybody? This is Ness representing ENT Hooligans. And right now, I want to follow up on a topic that Baby Moy and I discussed on our last episode of Sports Vista. One of the topics that we discussed was Colin Kaepernick being blackballed, why he was blackballed, and why he exercised his right to protest. And we got a little bit into that. And then the next day, we were reminded as to why he exercised his right to protest once again. The next day, June 16th, the verdict of the Philando Castile murder trial came out. And to no one's surprise, the officer was exonerated. He was acquitted of manslaughter. Now, for those of you who tuned in to Sports Vista the night before, obviously, you know this is a very touchy subject, very emotional for everybody involved. So obviously, I didn't want to just jump on here and react right off the bat. But since I've had some time to gather information and collect my thoughts and gather information on what's happened, a few days later, the dash cam footage was released to the public. The very dash cam footage that the jury seen in court and still came to the conclusion that Mr. Geronimo Yanez was innocent. Now, I'm pretty sure everyone has seen this video by now. It's gone viral. And has seen the exchange between the officer and Philando Castile and his girlfriend Diamond Reynolds. But for those who haven't seen it, they were compliant. This was a man pulled over for brake lights that were out. He was compliant. The officer asked him for a license and registration. In the midst of him looking for his license and registration to provide to the officer, he informs the officer that he has a firearm on him, which he has a license to carry. The officer then proceeded to panic. And a few seconds later, he proceeded to fire 7 shots into the vehicle, with his baby girl sitting in the back seat. And even after that took place, Diamond Reynolds still had the wherewithal to be compliant with the officer. This is what took place. The officer testified that he feared for his life and that he smelled marijuana coming from the car. So he feared for the baby girl suffering from secondhand marijuana smoke. So he had no other options but to fire into a car to fire into the car. Anybody who's seen this video and who's seen that interaction and who has read his testimony and who has heard his testimony, the testimony of the officer, can clearly see that there's a total contradiction here. This is the problem. No, the lack of accountability. The system continues to shield cops who commit these acts from any accountability. This is the problem. This is the problem. This is what Colin Kaepernick was protesting. That right there. This man walks away scot-free after murdering Philando Castile in front of his baby girl. And then earlier today, as you guys have seen, it was announced that the family reached a settlement with the city of St. Anthony, Minnesota. $3 million. $3 million hush money. Mr. Geronimo Yanez was fired, rightfully so. But, however, he should also be behind bars for manslaughter. He shot and killed this man in cold blood in front of his baby girl. That's what happened. And then afterwards, he panicked. He freaked out. Anyone who saw that video, the dash cam footage, clearly see he freaked out. The man was wearing a seatbelt. The man was compliant. The man informed him that he had a firearm. And yet, he was shot down and murdered in front of his baby girl and his girlfriend. Then there was another video that surfaced from the police car that Diamond Reynolds and her daughter were placed in after the fact, where the little girl was trying to console her mother, imploring her that not to cuss so that she quote unquote so that she doesn't get shot. She was afraid that her mother was going to get shot by the police. This is what happened. This is the image that little girl has ingrained in her head. I pray to God that one day she could forget that image. And that one day that family can have peace. And that one day we could all have peace. Because right now, that blue badge, that blue uniform and badge, are symbols of immunity. The system continues to shield these trigger-happy police officers of any accountability. This is the problem. The job of a police officer is dangerous already enough as it is, with all the criminals that they have to deal with. But the biggest danger to all the good cops out there are their crooked colleagues and the crooked system that shield them from any accountability. This is what makes them a target more than anything else. This is the very thing that Colin Kaepernick was protesting. A little girl now has to grow up without a father. Not because he was a deadbeat who hit it and quit it, but because his life was taken from him by those who were supposed to protect and serve. And then to make it worse, they get the proverbial middle finger from the very system, the very law that we're supposed to respect. A jury watched that video and came to the conclusion that this man was innocent. Now, before I finish, let me pose this question. If Philando Castile was going to use that gun on the police officer, would he have warned him that he had it on him in the first place? No. If he would have planned on getting into a gunfight with the cops, would he have had his baby girl and his girlfriend with him? No. So what was this man, a police officer, afraid of? What was it that posed such a threat? And why is it that when other police officers came onto the scene, they had to calm the police officer down? They had to calm Officer Geronimo Yenes down. They had to calm him down. Because he panicked. He fired off 7 shots into that car and murdered Philando Castile in cold blood in front of his baby girl. This is what happened. One of the most heartbreaking things I've ever seen was that little girl trying to calm her mother down so that she won't get shot by the police. Ladies and gentlemen, when we have this level of distrust with those that are supposed to protect us, we have a major problem. That's a major problem for everybody. People want to argue about black-on-black crime, or let's just call it what it is: neighbors killing neighbors, because that's essentially what it is. This happens in all types of this happens in every neighborhood. Neighbors killing neighbors. But you fail to mention that those people, when your neighbor kills you, or you kill your neighbor, guess what? You're going to jail. You're getting prosecuted. You're getting convicted to the fullest extent of the law. That is the difference here. No prosecution, no conviction, nothing. One exoneration after another. And that is essentially what the problem is that we currently face. One acquittal after another. One family receiving the middle finger from the system after another. The jury saw this former officer, this trigger-happy officer, kill a man in front of his baby girl. And they let him walk away free. They deemed him innocent. His word held more weight than video evidence. Why? because of the title he held and the very shield that protects him from any accountability. And this concludes my reaction on this latest turn of events. Thank you all for subscribing and following us. Hit that and continue to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And share. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. And stay tuned for more podcasts, gameplays, and reactions, and everything else in between. Once again, representing EMT Hooligans, I am Ness. With that, I say, God bless y'all, and peace.